guys, this is Mr. Sass and I'm here today to do Hunter x Hunter chapter 355 and 356. Now the reason I didn't do the Hunter x Hunter last week was because I was very busy and I couldn't do the chapter, that's simple. But I'm going to do a review today and I'm not going to go over all the dialogue because as always in Hunter x Hunter chapters there is a ton of dialogue. I'm just going to state how the situation looks, and the situation doesn't look good for Hisoka. Now, at the beginning of this deathmatch between Kuroro and Hisoka, Kuroro told Hisoka that he has been gathering abilities that are especially suited against Hisoka. These abilities that he has gathered and the way he's combining them are especially made to defeat Hisoka. And once he gathered all the abilities he needed, Kuroro even stated to Hisoka that you will not have one chance against me. Basically, I'm going to win 100% of the time. And when Kuroro first stated that at the beginning, we didn't realize, I didn't realize why that was. But as the fight drags on, I'm beginning to realize why. And here's why. Because these abilities that Kuroro has are made not only to wear Hisoka down, but they are especially tailored against Hisoka. Like, he has no attack, Hisoka has no attack that could do massive damage. He's an assassin. He usually fights one-on-one against someone. And when he has multiple adversaries, he basically runs away and regroups and attacks another time. But today he will not get that opportunity because this is a deathmatch. If he goes back, then maybe he could escape, maybe, and that's a big maybe, because Kuroro will track him at every move. But even if he manages to escape, he would have lost in front of Kuroro. And he has been seeking Kuroro for such a long amount of time that his ego doesn't let him leave the fight. And the more he fights, the more stamina he loses and the more damage he takes. It's inevitable, because let's say Kuroro was fighting somebody like Vogan. If you remember Vogan from the anime and both from the manga, Vogan is an enhancer, and as an enhancer, Vogan does attacks that do area damage. Like, if Vogan would fought Lucifer, and Lucifer would have used the same abilities that he uses now on Hisoka, all that Vogan had to do was punch the earth and he would probably kill a few hundred of these clones, of these puppets. But Hisoka doesn't have that kind of area damage, so he tries to do with what he got, and he bungee gums some of the puppets and tries to kill the other puppets with them as a flail. But even those puppets that even the puppets that he bungee gums eventually worn down and break into pieces. So he has to bungee gum some other puppets. And because he cannot do area damage, Hisoka isn't killing the puppets fast enough. And he's beginning to realize that. Because the puppets stay alive even if Kuroro closes the book and he no longer has Gallery Fake. Because the puppets have either the moon or the sun sigil on them, and because of that, because the true bearer of that Nen died and the Nen is now enhanced, they still stay alive. While he's fighting the puppets that are on the ring, Kuroro is free to make other puppets, and the puppets basically, if he doesn't do area damage, will always come, and in the end they will overwhelm him. Hisoka may be 1,000 times more powerful than one of these puppets, but if the puppets are limitless because Kuroro can just create them limitless, then it just becomes a game of stamina. Who depletes the stamina faster, Kuroro or Hisoka? Because Hisoka keeps killing the puppets and Kuroro has to keep creating them. But there's a catch. Even though they may have the same quantity of Nen, Kuroro isn't engaging. Hisoka is physically fighting the puppets and he's taking damage when they blow up. Not a lot of damage because he manages to dodge most of them, but he still takes damage when they blow up. And he's starting to get worn down and the puppets just start to pile up, get more and more, become more and more puppets. And he can, to the point where Hisoka can no longer keep up with the puppets. And Kuroro shows his true abilities with these puppets. Because what I think happened is that the head that Hisoka is using with his bungee gum to hit the other puppets, I think that head had a sun sigil on him. And one of the puppets that were attacking Hisoka had a moon sigil on him. And when Hisoka hit that puppet that had the moon sigil with the head that had the sun sigil, he didn't realize it, but when the two made contact, the two blew up. And the puppet blew up on the ring, but the head returned to Hisoka's hand because of his bungee gum and blew his hand off. Once his hand was blown off, he can no longer control Nen with that hand, and now he can only use his right hand and his feet. So he's trying to gain a foothold somewhere where there will no longer be that many puppets. And there are puppets in the rings, there are puppets hidden within the balcony, so it makes sense that he will want to go on the roof because there are no puppets on the roof. But that's exactly what Lucifer expected. Lucifer expected Hisoka to go for the roof, and he had a plan for that, because that was Lucifer's Kuroro's plan all along. Like, make no area safe for Hisoka. Make it so that he will have nowhere to run, and he cannot stay in the ring, he cannot go in the balcony where the spectators are, because there are puppets hidden among them, and he has to go to the roof. And once he tries to get to the roof, that's when Kuroro delivers his final blow, because once Hisoka is on the roof, he's an easy target for the bombs, because Kuroro can just take puppets that had both sun and moon sigils on them, and he can just throw them at Hisoka as he will throw rockets. And we see this happening here. Kuroro takes puppets that he created that had both signs of sun and moon on them, and he throws them at Hisoka like missiles, and they hit, because at this point Hisoka doesn't have where to run and he hasn't got his left hand, so he's at a terrible disadvantage. And he hits Hisoka with two of those bombs, and he manages to take Hisoka's right leg. So Hisoka at the end of chapter 356 has no left arm and no right leg. He only has the left leg and the right arm, and he falls down because he can no longer sustain to be on the roof, on the ceiling, and he falls down in the arena. And I think 100 or so puppets are charging him in and are charging at him, and they all have the sun and moon sigil. So there's going to be a very big explosion, and Hisoka knows it. And he says at the end of the chapter, and I quote this, "Well, if I'm going to die anyway, ... So what that means is that he has a trump card, but this trump card that he has is very dangerous for him. And he says, well, I'm going to die because I don't have my left arm, I don't have my right leg, I just lost my footing and fell to the stage. I'm being charged by 100 copies, 100 puppets. They are going to all blow up because they have the sun and moon sigil. So what the hell, let me just give my all, my final trump card." And that's what he does. And at the end of the chapter there's a huge explosion in the ring, and that's the end. So we'll see next chapter what Hisoka's trump card is, if you can call it that, because it's more like ultimate move for him. And yeah, it seems like Kuroro won. Of course, the ability, like I said, the abilities that Kuroro has right now and that Kuroro is using are tailored against Hisoka. Against a man like Vogan, I don't think this tactic would have won. So, like Kuroro said, Hisoka was doomed from the start. But that's it. Rate, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Have a nice day.
Any rational society would either kill me or put me to some use.